Know when to walk away. That's the focus of a new LAPD public safety campaign. See how police are getting out the message.
Hurricane Ian is now a Category 4 storm. We'll hear how many heavy flooding and winds are affecting a University of Miami student.
2 people are in custody for the murder of rapper PnB Rock, but police want help finding one suspect still on the loose.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Too many disputes and arguments are turning deadly. I'm Maya Bennett.
And I'm Eric Choi. That's why one LAPD division is taking a proactive approach to policing with a new public service campaign called Step Away L.A.
When things get heated, you must ask yourself one important question. Do you want to be right or do you want to be hurt?
We care about your safety.
Step Away L.A. encourages people to walk away from an argument before reaching the point of no return. The campaign was announced this morning at the Central Area Community Police Station. With this campaign, officers aim to save lives through common sense. It's a response to the increasing number of violent crimes in the LAPD's Central Division. The root cause is often a simple argument that escalates.
We're seeing shootings in parks. We're seeing people getting into arguments and losing their eye. People having to go see their loved ones in the hospital over something trivial and petty. And like community members who volunteered to participate in this project, we're all tired of it because we care. That's what it's about.
Officers describe Steps Away as a violent intervention effort. Their hope is to expand the campaign and improve neighborhood safety.
A group rallied in downtown this morning in support of new federal legislation that would provide a pathway towards permanent residency for undocumented immigrants.
What it says is if you can demonstrate that you've lived here in this country for 7 years, can show good moral character, and that you haven't committed crimes that would make you deportable, then you would be eligible to legalize your status. It's a permanent residency. It opens up the doors towards a green card and the possibility of citizenship.
The law currently in place says if you've lived in the United States since 1972, you are eligible to begin legalizing your status towards a green card. But the eligibility year of 1972 has not been updated in 35 years. Senator Alex Padilla recently proposed a bill to update it. This has led to an outcry of support.
A lot of us have grown up here, right? There's a lot of people that came here when they were just months old. So this is their country. They are American. This is where they belong, where we belong. This is our home.
Now, in today's divided political climate, the bill could see some trouble along its journey into law. Advocates say they will be watching closely.
People in Florida are dealing with Hurricane Ian tonight, one of the largest and most powerful storms to hit their state in several years. The Category 4 storm is currently moving over Fort Myers with winds of 150 miles per hour. The slow-moving hurricane is expected to cause massive damage with flash flooding across the state and storm surges 12 to 18 feet above ground level. Ian is expected to travel northeast over the next week. According to the latest projections, Orlando is directly in the hurricane's path. Even in areas not directly in the storm's path, its effects have been disruptive.
Early on, they were trying to keep classes going. But eventually the streets were all flooded and it was very difficult for people to get to and from classes. So after 2:00 on Monday, then through now has been all online. And it's been it flooded all over the place. And it's windy, as you can probably tell.
Federal authorities have ordered mandatory education of over 2.5 million Floridans. Over 1 million customers are currently with or without power. That's nearly 12% of the state. Governor Ron DeSantis said 30,000 linemen are slated to help Florida put the lights back on. President Biden has directed FEMA to coordinate its response of officials in Florida and is urging people who haven't evacuated to stay indoors.
Police have arrested 2 people linked to the shooting death of rapper PnB Rock 2 weeks ago. One of the suspects arrested is a minor. The third suspect is still on the loose. The rapper, whose real name is Rakeem Allen, was killed at Roscoe's House of Chicken and Waffles in South LA. The shooter allegedly demanded Allen's valuables before opening fire. Police arrested a 17-year-old male on suspicion of murder. 32-year-old Chantrell Trone was also arrested on suspicion of aiding in a murder. Authorities are still searching for a third suspect. He's been identified as 40-year-old Freddie Trone, and detectives believe he's the teen's father. Trone is considered armed and dangerous. Many of Allen's songs made it to the Billboard Top 100, including his hit and one of my favorites, Selfish. In recent years, he'd collaborated with artists like Chance the Rapper and Ed Sheeran. Allen was 30 years old when he was killed. The music star was laid to rest last week in Philadelphia. Two propositions on the November ballot that would legalize sports betting have sparked controversy. Political anchor Darielle Fair has more on the story.
Thank you, Maya. Propositions 26 and 27 would legalize sports betting in the state of California. Many voters are struggling to decide whether they should support the propositions or vote no for both. Here's what you need to know. Propositions 26 would allow in-person sports betting at racetracks and tribal casinos for people 21 years of age and older. Part of a 10% tax would go towards education funding, gambling addiction programs, and enforcing gambling laws. Proposition 27 would allow online sports betting, meaning you could gamble directly from your phone. At issue is whether expanding gambling will worsen the addiction among youth and other vulnerable communities. Timothy Fong, director of UCLA's Gambling Studies program, says public health should be a priority.
How do we keep the most vulnerable groups to addiction? These are men and women under age 21, people with existing mental health and addiction problems already, people from communities of color where disproportionately are affected by gambling addiction. How do we protect those citizens in California? That's issue number one.
Ahead of the midterm, election workers are gearing up for a new group of first-timers to work the election polls. Officials say staffing precincts is crucial to ensure the voting process runs smoothly. Students interested in further engaging their civic duty can also earn some extra cash.
We're able to work together and from all different parties, and so it was really good. It was honestly a good feeling of seeing everybody together, uniting and working, right, despite your political views and stuff like that. Like when you're at the poll, you're there to work, but you're also doing a service to your community.
If you are interested in getting involved this November, visit powerthepolls.org to sign up. Live in studio, I'm Darielle Fair.
The November midterms are coming up quick. If you haven't registered to vote yet, the School of Cinematic Arts is hosting a voter registration event tonight for current students and alumni. We spoke with the organizer, SCA professor Brenda Goodman, about the importance of this event.
Voting is such an important tool, and if we don't act on it, we might lose it. And so we just want to encourage the youth, because it's their world, to show up, participate, and know that the School of Cinematic Arts supports them in this endeavor.
Reporter Avery Goodman is at the School of Cinematic Arts to tell us more about tonight's event. Avery?
Thanks, Maya. I'm here live at the SCA Gallery where students are lining up to get a slice of pizza and a slice of democracy. Beginning in 2000, SCA Votes has hosted watch parties, discussions, and registration events in order to encourage community engagement. As you can see behind me, there's a bunch of students here already. If you'd like to participate and grab a slice of pizza yourself, the event will run until 7 p.m. For ATVN, I'm Avery Goodman. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Avery.
Governor Gavin Newsom greenlights bills of reproductive freedom. Stick around to hear what these laws mean for Californians.
Oil rigs have long been the source of many pollutants poisoning LA's air. See how that is set to change and who is getting left out of the change.
What's for dinner? It's often a tricky question for college students. Find out which meals are keeping students going.
Worried your friend's struggling but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could write them a text or knit them a sweater. If you can't be together, you could write them a letter. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You could ask on your couch while you binge watch. However you do it, you gotta ask a friend. And if they don't share, you can ask again. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckle tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
California Governor Gavin Newsom just signed more than a dozen new bills into law addressing abortion care and reproductive health. The governor signed the laws yesterday during a ceremony in Sacramento. They include $200 million for reproductive health care services. They also prohibit coroners from holding inquests into fetal deaths and ensure pregnancy losses will not be considered crimes. The new law also strengthens privacy protections on medical records, increases access to birth control, and declares California a sanctuary state for people seeking abortions.
I'm glad that we're putting this into our constitution to protect abortions. We definitely need a clear line in our constitution to say we deserve abortions because it's like a human right, and I'm glad California is doing that, and I'm happy with Gavin Newsom for doing that.
In November, Californians will get a chance to vote on Proposition 1. If passed, that law would explicitly protect a person's right to an abortion.
The LA County Board of Supervisors recently voted to ban the construction of new oil wells in unincorporated areas of the county. They also approved phasing out existing wells in the next 20 years. In the neighborhood of Ladera Heights, there are close to 1,000 active oil wells. Over 1 million people live within a 5-mile radius of these wells. Studies show the pollution it causes puts residents at a greater risk for respiratory diseases, preterm births, and cancer. About 10% of the city's population resides in the unincorporated areas of the county. While most of the unincorporated oil wells are in Ladera Heights, these wells are not part of the ban. Residents believe their concerns are being ignored.
We're exposed to this every day. We don't want this so close in our community where we live. This is like a residential community. So that's a concern for me. And what is our say-so in that?
Politicians and people that have the power at the pen to change these laws to come together to do something for their own community and make sure that we're all safe. Yeah. We don't want it to be another Brockowicz story.
The LA Department of Planning said it will decide the fate of the Ladera Heights oil wells in the future. Until then, drilling in the area will continue.
A lot's going on in the news, but I wonder what's going on with the weather.
Yeah, we've got a special guest to tell us all about it. Michaela, over to you.
Thank you so much, Eric. My name is Michaela Wagner, and I'm so happy to be joining the Wednesday team today. I'm covering for Morella, who's not feeling too hot today, but this LA weather sure is. So let's take a look at our current conditions. So right now we're sitting sunny at 81 degrees. We're still riding off that heat wave from earlier, so wear something light. But looking on to the week ahead with our 5-day forecast, you might be happy with what you're going to see. So here we have some temperatures dropping and going back up. So we have Thursday sitting at 86, which is our highest. And then we'll start to see some divots with Friday and Saturday hitting 82 and 79. And then over here we have Saturday sitting at 79 and the low being 63, which is perfect for game day. So make sure to bring a jacket because it's going to be a little bit cool. And then following with Sunday and Monday, we're going to really see some fall weather hitting. So all this talk about fall weather is making me crave a warm meal. So let's pass the plate over to Julia. Thanks, Kayla. Here's some food for thought. When you think of a college student's diet, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most people, it's top ramen or the dining halls. But students say that frozen meals are a staple in their diets, especially with their busy schedules.
At the end of the day, it really is just a time commitment. There's also like a financial commitment as well, because you have to get the time to like pick out the individual groceries and buy those out. So having these packaged meals like as just kind of like a more cost-effective and time-effective way to just kind of like eat. So.
I feel like in college, you know, your time is like sometimes pretty limited. So as long as I like tried to branch out and cook at least twice a week, I wasn't really that worried about cooking something that was frozen.
Microwavable brands like Lean Cuisine, Marie Callender's, and Trader Joe's are popular frozen meals. They come with a wide variety of choices, and students say that choosing the best meals for their health is difficult. We spoke to USC dietitian Lindsay Pine, who offered advice on buying the best frozen foods. She encourages students to check the ingredients before buying, but not overanalyzing their eating habits.
Trying to find foods that have positive aspects like vegetables, whole grains, legumes, protein. So those are the things that I'm going to look for. Some of those frozen meals can be a little bit high in sodium, so I'll try and keep it under about 700 milligrams of sodium. But you know what? If you also feel like you need pizza that day, then that's totally okay. If that's what you and your body need.
I want to emphasize that checking ingredients is important when buying frozen foods, but students shouldn't overthink their choices. I will definitely be trying out Lindsay's tips on my next grocery run, so let's toss it over to Joey for sports.
Soccer soars with the Beavers and Ducks on deck. Heisman hopefuls dominate the headlines, and the Sun Devils strive to spark their sinking ship. All that and more next on Sports.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Joey Elbaum.
And I'm Carlo Jimenez. The Trojans just barely passed their first real road test last week in Corvallis as USC turns the page to Arizona State. It's time for you to get to know Sparky and the Sun Devils. There's a new head coach in Tempe. The Sun Devils let go of Herm Edwards after a loss to Eastern Michigan 2 weeks ago. Former running backs coach Sean Aguano was named the interim. Joey, who should the Trojan fans look out for this weekend?
Look, I mean, if there's anyone on defense that Caleb Williams and the Trojans need to watch out for this week, it's linebacker Kyle Sewell. I mean, Sewell leads the Sun Devils with 2 interceptions this season. He's also the team leader in tackles. He finished with 12 last Saturday, reaching double-digit tackles for the 3rd straight game. And interceptionless Williams will have to keep an eye out for Kyle Sewell if he wants to keep a clean slate. Carlo, who is your Sun Devil to watch on Saturday?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Joey. For me, it's Florida transfer quarterback Emery Jones. Jones came late to the swamp from the desert and ended up missing spring practice last year. He showed flashes of greatness in the SEC. Jones almost pulled off the upset of the year against Alabama. Trojan linebacker Shane Lee played against the redshirt junior in that game and spoke highly of the quarterback.
Great quarterback. I think he's, a dual threat guy. He does, both well. So definitely got to be on our P's and Q's with him.
Well, Joey, a big game this weekend. Arizona State comes to town for the first time since 2020. What is the key to your Trojan win?
Look, I just want to give the Trojans some credit for last week's win, and they're going to carry it into this one against the Sun Devils. The way they were able to play as a team, Caleb Williams did not have the best game ever, and at the end of the day, that's okay. Heisman quarterbacks aren't perfect, but the fact that the defense was able to step up where needed, the fact that everyone was able to do a role and contain this team, it really shows they're a competitive team. They're a team to watch this year, and they win when it counts, and they get the job done. Carlo, what about you? What do we need to look for this weekend?
Yeah, I think this has trap game written all over. You have a very good Washington State team coming into town in 2 weeks, and ASU, well, they're struggling. They fired their head coach. They had 6 rushing yards in 60 minutes last week. They're trying to find some sort of bearing. The Trojans really need to focus up. You can't overlook ASU and look ahead to 2 weeks.
Absolutely. 2 weeks, Washington State will be a tough one, but for now, they still got to focus on the Sun Devils. We're now a third of the way through the season, and the Heisman race is beginning to shape up. As September comes to a close, let's take a look at today's top Heisman candidates. According to Vegas Insider, Ohio State's C.J. Stroud, Alabama's Bryce Young, and USC's Caleb Williams lead the group of hopefuls. Young won the award as a sophomore last season. The 3 quarterbacks have all led their teams to 4-0 starts. So far, Williams is the only quarterback of the 3 to not have thrown an interception. Stroud leads the group in passing yards and touchdowns, but both Young and Williams have added a couple of rushing touchdowns to their names this season. And now, Carlo, I just want to take a look at these 2 clips. This one, Bryce Young's game-winning drive against Texas, and this next one, Caleb Williams' game-winning drive against Oregon State. Both similar situations. Both quarterbacks did not play their best football the entire game, but when it really mattered most, when it came down to the last few minutes, the last minute for each of them, both just around 200 yards, only 1 touchdown each, but that touchdown came when it mattered most to win the game for both teams.
Yeah, you're right. Those are 2 incredible plays, but we don't see in those highlights. C.J. Stroud, the other quarterback you talked about, 16 touchdowns, 1 interception through 4 games. This guy doesn't have to worry about game-winning drives because he's winning the game in the first half. I'd be looking out for him to win the Heisman this year.
Absolutely.
USC women's soccer entered the top 25 this week as the Trojans reintroduced themselves at number 20 after defeating Stanford to kick off Pac-12 play. They travel north to the Beaver State to face Oregon State tomorrow and Oregon on Sunday. Since dropping the opener against Purdue, the Trojans have not lost a game. History is on the side of USC this weekend. The Trojans have not lost to the Beavers or the Ducks in 9 straight games. Women's soccer will look to keep their win streak alive as they go hunting for Ducks and Beavers in Oregon.
Pac-12 play continues for women's volleyball with 2 matches at the Galen Center this weekend. All-American outside hitter Skylar Field shined once again as the Trojans' number 1 option on offense. The senior transferred from Texas last year and leads the Trojans with 210 kills. USC takes on Colorado on Friday and Utah on Saturday. And that's it for sports for the day. This is Carlo Jimenez. I'm Joey Elbaum. And Carlo, I think it's flu season. Eric, please, where can I get my flu shot this year?
I'll tell you all about it. Well, we'll tell you about it. While the masks are off for many, the flu is still on its way. See how you can get your vaccinations right here on campus. More after the break.
Lávate las manos por 20 segundos como Elmo.
Hay algo especial acerca de este lugar. Se siente como un hogar una sala debajo del cielo y los árboles. Rodeado de aire fresco y la naturaleza. Todo aquí para que lo disfrutemos y para que lo cuidemos. Tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar de esta tierra que llamamos casa, de preservarla para las generaciones que vienen. Cada acción pequeña contribuye para un cambio mayor y cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer la diferencia. Hay algo especial acerca de este bosque. Es un lugar donde se hacen recuerdos y juntos podemos preservarla y protegerla.
Health experts are warning that a bad flu season is right around the corner. USC is gearing up with student health pop-ups that offer flu shots for students. This follows the university no longer requiring the shots.
They are not a requirement this year. We're in a slightly different place in terms of respiratory illness, but we don't want to let our guard down. If you are on the student health insurance plan, which is provided through Aetna, there is zero cost to you. If you are on another plan and you would like to be vaccinated for flu, at Student Health there is a $20 charge that will be applied to your student account.
The pop-up is held every Wednesday at the campus farmers market from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. until November 9th. It offers free food, I repeat, free food, and games to encourage people to get their vaccinations. One student found the tent by accident and decided to get a shot as a precaution for the first maskless flu season in 2 years.
I think if I had known beforehand, maybe I could have planned to have come here. I will say that McCarthy is the perfect place to be where a lot of students pass by. My personal preference is to keep wearing my mask and to get a flu shot because I know that people feel very strongly about having the right to not do those things.
Student Health is also planning to offer flu and COVID-19 booster shots at the Ingman Health Center through October.
Lyft is scaling back some precautions put in place during the height of the pandemic. Riders will now have the option of going maskless. The app will also allow up to 4 passengers in standard rides. The new guidelines follow California's decision to ease masking requirements. The state no longer recommends masking indoors or in businesses, including Uber and Lyft. Mask wearing is still required in healthcare settings like hospitals and long-term care facilities. LA County was one of the last in the U.S. to still require masking inside rideshare vehicles. Most other counties dropped those rules back in May. But Lyft says masking could come back depending on public health guidelines.
Since it's kind of been masks have been required, I always have one in my purse, but usually drivers don't really say anything. But if they do, I'd always take it out. But now it's kind of nice. It's kind of one less thing to worry about if you drop it on the ground or something and you don't have it. You don't feel oh shoot, I have to call a new Lyft. I feel like I'd always be traveling in a pack of 4 anyways rather than 3, so it'll just be more efficient to get place to place.
Starting today, USC students will be able to enjoy Thrift from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. with these brand new guidelines.
Quick, Eric, if you could hop in a Lyft right now, where would you go?
I mean, I do have to go to a meeting, but if I could go anywhere, I'd just go see my mates after the show. Just chilling with my brothers.
Your mates? I'm right here.
Oh, we'll go together, wherever.
Well, if I could go anywhere, I would go to that SCA event for some free pizza.
Free food. Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News, everyone. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Eric Human-Choi.
And I'm Maya Mari Bennett. For more ATVN and who wouldn't want more of us, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Good night.